Okay, I'll call regular city council meeting Monday, April 1 to order. Clerk call roll, please.
Alderman Putoff. Here. Ferrari. Here. Waldorf. Here. Lukosius. Here. Radke. Here. Sapienza. Here. Payton. Here. Ballard. Here. Mayor Harrell.
Everybody rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment. Mr. McLeod, you signed up that you wanted to give a public comment?
I understand this is a public comment. My name's John McLeod, for the record. We have Jim from Republic Services here. It's a perfect opportunity to ask this question, even though I know it's not question and answer. I was asked by a Republic driver if I could put my garbage cans on the street next to the curb because my neighbor parks in front of my house and blocks him from getting my garbage. My question is, who's liable if that can goes down the street or is hit by a vehicle or, blown into a parked car? Is it me, the Republic, the city? Does anybody know? City attorney? Ideas?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay. Nobody? All right. Well, we'll get to the bottom of it somehow. Thank you.
Okay. We have a presentation from Mr. Jim Posey of Republic Services.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I'd like to thank everybody for allowing me to come in and talk to you guys a little bit. I'm wishing everybody good luck tomorrow night. And also, I know I'm here to talk about the yard waste change, but I wanted to mention that Jim and I have already talked, as far as Dave and I have already talked in regard of the TBM Avenger event this year. We're going to do the same thing we did last year for the city as far as supply everything, the carts, the liners, the roll-off, and things like that we did last year too. So, we really appreciate that. Thank you. But it's nice for us to get that opportunity to kind of give back to the community. So we really appreciate it. Basically, there's really no presentation. It's just a statement. Basically, we'd like to thank the City of Peru and the city officials for partnering with Republic Services. Working with us to change the yard waste service date from Monday to Friday is greatly appreciated. It's what partners do. They work together. It's nice to work with a community who sees the value in our services and understands that occasionally changes need to be made. This change allows Republic Services to better service the residents of Peru, helping us to provide all three lines of service, waste, recycling, and yard waste removal in a timely manner. Not wanting to affect residents negatively, our short-term plan, until everyone becomes used to the day change, is to return Monday late afternoon for a short time to service those residents who have not yet gotten on board or used to the day change being from Monday to Friday. We feel that everyone should be used to the day change by on or about the beginning of May. Our main concern is that the material gets picked up on the day it's scheduled to be picked up, which is a new day Friday, and not sitting out past their scheduled day. Knowing the majority of the residents, like me, do their yard work throughout the entire week, we hope to have little impact going, long term with this change. We also look forward to offering the City of Peru and its residents professional and reliable service in 2019. Thank you.
Jim, in talking with my constituents, most of them tell me they do their yard work on the weekend. And so with that being the case, it'll sit there all week. If it's a hot week, then it'll begin to decompose and smell by Friday. If it's raining all week, it'll be wet and decomposing. I'm wondering how moving from Monday to Friday best serves the City of Peru.
Well, as you know, last year we kind of struggled with yard waste, with some of the changes we made, manpower issues, things like that. So, Monday came, and not all the time were we able to pick up everybody on Monday. It would have to wait until Tuesday or Wednesday when we had the manpower. The guys finished early on different routes, and then we attacked yard waste. We understand that, like I said, Friday's probably not the ultimate day, for yard waste pickup, but with what we've done is changes that we've done has allowed us to open up Friday for the driver to do nothing else but yard waste. That's what last year, yard waste, our first priority is picking up the trash, our second priority is picking up the recycling, and our third priority is picking up the yard waste, okay? Last year, we would struggle because the guys would finish their route, have to go back to Ottawa, get into a different truck, come back and pick up the yard waste, okay? Because we didn't have the enough time in the day to get the service done. So that's why, unfortunately, that it sat beyond, Monday. So we feel that, now, and like I said, Friday's not, I'm understanding that Friday's not the perfect day for yard waste, but it allows us to dedicate one day for the yard waste pickup, and that's all the drivers have to do is pick up yard waste on Friday.
Why can't they do it on Monday?
We just don't have the manpower to do it on Monday. We've got so many other routes and so many drivers that are, they're each dedicated to a route, they're each dedicated to a community, and they just don't finish in time to get the yard waste on Monday. We just don't.
Couldn't you flip the dedicated day to, instead of Friday, the dedicated day to pick up yard waste for your guys to Monday?
With other communities, Friday is the open day. Peru has service 5 days a week, so there's really no open day as far as, saying, okay, we can not do this on Friday to keep yard waste on Monday or vice versa. Other communities, there's no service for other communities on Friday, which allows the guys to open up and get the yard waste done on that day.
All right, well, with all due respect, I'm against this change. And I want to be on record as saying that I'm against it, and my constituency is against it, because they do their yard work, by and large, from what I'm told by them, on the weekend, and they don't want it sitting around until Friday.
Yeah, and I do yard waste on weekends too, yeah, but I find myself doing it throughout the week. So for me personally, and don't get me wrong, I don't speak for everybody, it really doesn't matter what day it's picked up as long as it's picked up on the day that it's scheduled to be picked up. And that's something that we struggled with last year. And we don't want to struggle with that this year. Like I said, Friday may not be the ultimate day for yard waste pickup, but it's a day that we're available and that we can tackle it and get it all done on the day that we say we're going to get it done, rather than having it sit for, a few days after Monday.
Well, with all due respect, we're paying the bill, and I don't know that that this change works that well, and I'm not for it. I mean,
That's understood.
Jim, I did have a couple other questions for you. Some of the residents have called me to ask, what do they do with items like vacuum cleaners, small items, old lawnmowers, some of those items where they're coming back for me to say that those items aren't picked up. Is that a responsibility of yours or any to pick up any of those items?
Well, lawnmowers, yeah, we really don't. I mean, we can take it, but it's as long as it doesn't have any oil or anything like that in it. But 9 times out of 10, the junkers, the metal scrappers, get it before it's just set out on the curb.
And I'm talking about disposable items too, like vacuum cleaners, blenders, those types of things, small items with motors in them. Are you still taking those?
Yeah, usually we can take something as long as the cord is cut off. Like if you've got a vacuum cleaner that may have some kind of newfangled computer motherboard or something like that on it, as long as you take the electronic portion off it, cut the cord, they should be fine. Like a blender or a toaster, things like that. As long as it doesn't have a computer motherboard in it, it should be fine.
And then the other thing you're informing residents too is about mattresses have to be encapsulated.
Yeah.
I think some are unaware of that. And if the mattress isn't, do you report that then to the city clerk's office?
Yes.
So we can follow up with it?
Yes.
Your Honor, I also want to go on record as being against this change. I think Monday was ideal. Could get the yard waste done and get rid of it on Monday. I think that's wrong.
Anybody else?
How is recycling going? Because the other question, I know we talked about it when we negotiated the contract, was about recycling every week. So I'm wondering what your, that was one potential we talked about that we didn't go with. But I know for my family of 4, it seems like I've got boxes of diapers and all kinds of cardboard things that are filling up my recycling bin.
You're not throwing
So-
diapers in the recycling, are you?
No,
Okay,
no,
good.
those get landfilled.
Yeah, diapers aren't
But
recycled.
the cardboard boxes and all those types of things that my family's going through, my recycling is pretty full after 2 weeks, so I don't know if other people have the same issue, but, I'm just curious how the recycling's going, if you see that as a lot of overfilled containers, or if that's not a major issue.
I don't see it as a major issue. Our drivers aren't reporting anything as far as, out of the ordinary as far as recycling. Every other week with the larger carts. I have a family of 4 as well, and no, I have not yet, but I have teenagers that go through all bunch of stuff too. My recycling container is, about 3/4 full every other week. So, and I have a family of 4. Our drivers aren't reporting anything like, overflowing recycling carts or a lot of stuff, sitting there. There may be a box, an empty box or something like that that's by the cart every once in a while. And I know some cases that when the driver notices that there's like an empty box or 2 laying by the cart itself is probably half full. Instead of breaking the box down and getting it in there, they think it's too large to get in the cart, and they just set it by the cart.
Anybody else?
Just 2 things. First, on the Friday thing, Jim and I talked about it at length, and I've gotten a lot of the same feedback on residents against it. But I think the biggest issue that Jim and I talked about is execution. And we did have a lot of challenges last year on the Monday pickup. So in terms of phone calls and that type of things, we seem to do yard waste on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Frequently, we're catching up and getting calls all week long. So I think that if Republic executes well on the Friday, like you said, most of the residents that do yard waste bags are very conscientious about their yards, and they put them out diligently, and they expect them to be picked up on the day that they're picked up. And last year, we did have a lot of challenges with people dragging bags out and then them not disappearing. I think that won't be I hope it won't be a problem.
And that's what we're trying to avoid this year, is we don't want the people calling and saying, hey, my yard waste wasn't picked up. This way, with Friday being a dedicated day for yard waste only, we're going to be here when we say we're going to be here, and avoid what we went through, and what the city, what the residents went through last year. That's what we're trying to avoid this year.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to deliver, because it's probably not the ideal day on Friday, but if it doesn't get picked up on Friday, people are going to be really irritated if it is sitting out all weekend and it doesn't get picked up till Monday. So I think you definitely have to deliver if Friday is the day you're picking.
Yeah, and that's why, for a period of time, we'll go, those residents, we'll be back on Monday, for a couple hours in the late afternoon to pick up those residents that, may have missed the pickup. We just want to avoid those residents calling in and saying, oh, yeah, I had my stuff out, and it didn't get picked up when, in fact, it wasn't out Friday, but they just chose, they just choose not to get on board with the day change. That's going to be an issue that we're going to run into, and we'll deal with it. We'll overcome it.
I don't know if it's a question you can answer tonight, but to Mr. McLeod's question on positioning of carts, maybe you could comment for the media, because it's still something that you see, because you drive the town, you live here, and I drive, and there's still a lot of people that don't position their carts facing the right direction, or in a position that they understand that
the claw that picks it up, there has to be a space between the carts. Maybe you could just go over what Republic's, I don't know what the policy is in terms of parking them on carts on the road or versus the curb line, but
Yeah, first off, the carts, the lid opening should face the road. The wheels should actually face your home. The cart should be at least 3 feet from any other object, including your other cart. So that way, when the claw comes out to grab it, he can access it real easy, dump it, and set it back down in the same spot. We ask that you do not park in front of the carts, simply because it makes his job that much harder. As far as leaving it sit out in the road, I know, there's language in the contract that makes, we're not liable, the city's not liable. Whether the resident is, I'm not an attorney, so I can't get too involved in it. What we do tell the driver is that, the container, the cart may be on the curb in the morning, but by the time he goes by your house, there's a car in front of it. The driver's to pull up safely, get out of the truck, wheel the cart to the truck, dump it, put it back in its place. That's what's supposed to be happening. If it's not, then we kindly ask you to get the city involved. The city contacts us, and then we approach the driver with that. We don't know that it's occurring if we don't know anything about it. So that's all we ask. So just work with us, work with the city, and we'll make sure that we get it corrected.
And then if I could, Mr. McLeod, I had actually sent my partner a text who writes homeowners and auto and commercial, and I asked him your question, and I think I got your question, the gist of it. He wasn't really sure who's liable. Most likely, if a car hits it, if the car is driving down the road and hits the can, that falls on the owner of the car. If the can is for somehow blown down the street and causes damage, the best he came up with was probably a comp claim on the homeowners, the person's, if it's the house or car. It's very gray, he said. He said, I'll do some more research tomorrow. And if you want to phrase your question for me and email it to me, sure. I'll have him look it up and get back to you on that.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want to ask Mr. McLeod, are these your neighbor's cars?
Yes, across the street. Parking only on one side of 7, right in front of my house.
Did you talk with your neighbors about maybe trying to do something different?
That's been an ongoing battle for months. They don't even like to move their cars in the snow. Sounds like my neighbors.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Mayor Harrell, I don't know how you'd like to handle this, do I have the right to respond to his public comment as a citizen, or would you rather wait and I'll be on the second time at the end?
Let's wait till the end.
Fine, thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes, to your comment about when you're going to pick this up, because I don't want to have garbage around or leaves that around the house all week. We don't pick up on Friday, no longer.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes, place on file?
So moved.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Do I have a motion to receive the financial reports, place on file?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Do I have a motion to receive the activity reports, place on file?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. I'll move on to committees. Finance, Safety Services, Chairman Putoff.
Alderman Radke will handle disbursements tonight, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Total disbursements to be paid on April 3rd, 2019 are $1,174,683.07. I move this report be received, placed on file, and the bills paid in the usual manner. I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to receive the disbursements, place on file, and pay the bills in the usual manner. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call, clerk call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Jokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Motion approved.
Tonight, Your Honor, we have a motion to authorize Mayor Harrell to execute a settlement sheet and disbursement authorization number 3 from Power, Rogers, and Smith LLP regarding J&L Oil Incorporated. If the city attorney can update us and the residents on what action was taken and why we took that action.
Sure. We went ahead and brought suit against J&L Oil. They were the owners of the property that is next to Four Star through the Tiki, and they used to have a gas station there. There was a lot of underground leaking fuel tanks. We brought suit based on our code of ordinances for the environmental exposure and retained outside law firm of Power, Rogers, Smith. And this is the remaining part of the settlement that we agreed to with them, and it's in the amount of $40,000.
Your Honor, I will second that motion.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, one of the things I wanted to point out is the most significant part of this settlement is that it is a clean site now, and again, it will be used for development in the future for the city of Peru.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I also would like to, the money that was received, I think the city probably at some point in the future definitely has some unfunded environmental liability from some property somewhere. I think this money should be set aside to try to use that, whether it's to tear down a blighted property or remove some other unfunded environmental liability where we don't have a responsible party. We do have those situations arise from time to time. It would be nice to have some small amount of funds to use for that purpose if we can in the future.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, we can definitely, if that's the wish of the council, we can segregate those funds so they can be used for future use for such purposes as Alderman Brackett stated.
Anybody else? Have a roll call, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Aye. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
Item agenda tonight is a motion to approve a donation of waiving building permit and inspection fees totaling $2,600 for PADS expansion project. This is a not-for-profit enterprise. PADS, which helps the homeless in our community, does a great deal for our community in the way of social services. Typically, the city has waived building fees for not-for-profit, so that is a motion tonight.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Peyton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
In addition, Your Honor, tonight we have a motion to approve a $10,000 donation to the Illinois Valley Public Action to deliver shelter, that's the IV pads, to support their expanding space. That is a capital campaign, Expanding Hope capital campaign. And again, they have a great deal of impact on our social services. So if you look at it at dollars and cents, it does save the city a great deal of money with this organization as far as helping out people. The $10,000 will go towards, I believe it's a $1 million or $2 million expansion for more beds, a $1 million expansion for more beds, and it has been a topic of the community.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Have a roll call, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Peyton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
Also, we have a motion for a $250 contribution to Horizon House Road of Independence. That's their annual campaign, again, to help the handicapped, and that is a motion for the annual donation of $250.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, we've always voted for this in the past. This year, my wife is actually the campaign chair for the campaign, so I won't vote on this.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll have a roll call, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Abstain.
Sapienza. Peyton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
That's all we have, Your Honor, in the area of finance and safety service.
Okay, thank you. Public Services, Chairman Waldorf.
Yes, Your Honor. On the agenda tonight, we have a motion to authorize emergency repairs to an existing sanitary sewer located to Hort Construction in the amount of $40,100. This is between the splash park, the hockey rink, and the manhole west of Illinois 251. This sewer is in danger of imminent collapse, and it runs under some different properties on the way, under a couple of garages. So this is imperative that we get this repaired, and it would appear that we have a company that will line it and prevent us from having to dig up a very difficult portion of the sewer. Eric, do you have anything else?
Yes, Chairman, you covered it pretty well there. With our ongoing sewer separation, as you know, we always examine all the areas that we're working. In this instance, we were made aware of a potential issue, so we had televised this area of sewer, noting that it is close to being an issue with as far as the collapse goes. So working with Hort Construction, we worked with them previously. We lined a section of sewer here from Route 6 on Peoria Street heading north, and this section we would do the same, and it's a structural lining, so it is common practice to do this in these instances. And given the location, the sewer runs between two residential homes, very near a garage, very near a home, and the depth of the sewer is problematic. So if we were to do an open excavation type repair, we would run the risk of damaging either one of those structures. So this is the safest route to go, and I recommend that we do move forward with this repair.
I would like to ask for forgiveness for my pronunciation of hair. I didn't realize that that was the pronunciation.
I'll second that motion to move on.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton. Ballard.
That's all from Public Services, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That motion was approved. Okay, we'll move on to report to city attorney, ordinances, resolutions.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I have an ordinance authorizing requests for proposals for the purchase and development of approximately 19.106 acres located at the southeast corner of Illinois Route 251 and Sheen Park Road.
So a motion to approve the ordinance as written and read?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I just have one question. The way I read this ordinance, we're gonna go for proposals, and then the proposals are gonna come in, and are they gonna come back to the city council for approval? Or
Yes, we'll open them here
The 29th.
on the 29th.
the ordinance indicates it gives the mayor and the...
No, it comes back to the
authority
council.
sell it. It does come back, okay. Thank you.
Right, we'll review them, give our suggestions, and everybody else can, look at them and see what the decision is.
Very good, thank you.
Anybody else? Can we have a roll call, clerk, call the roll?
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Peyton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Next, I have an ordinance amending the City of Peru Code of Ordinances to add Section 6-92.2 Class A2 Brewer's License.
Do I have a motion to approve the ordinance as written and read?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion and a second? Is there any discussion?
What this is for a brewery, right? The
Yeah,
license
yeah.
for...
There's interested parties, there's been numerous, so we'll be ready if it does happen at some time. There's nothing concrete at all, but there's a void in the ordinance the way it's written.
Has there ever been a brewery in Peru?
Nearly every block.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll have a roll call, clerk, call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Peyton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Next, I have a resolution authorizing execution of an Illinois cash farm lease between the City of Peru and John Lamps for the Home Farm, 73.128 acres.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the resolution as written and read.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Have a motion and a second. Now, as everyone knows, the land was purchased post-October of 2018, and the rules and regulations, you must let the tenant farmer know that they're not going to farm, so you missed that date. So even if you wanted to change, you couldn't right now. So, anyway, for this farming season 2019, I'm asking you to pass this resolution between the City of Peru and John Lamps of the Home Farm. Is there any further discussion? Call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Motion approved.
Next, we have an ordinance approving and authorizing the termination of a cost-sharing agreement entered into by the City of LaSalle and the City of Peru to conduct a cost and operational feasibility assessment to explore and pursue the sharing of multi-jurisdictional law enforcement services and constructing and operating a centralized jointly staffed multi-jurisdictional law enforcement facility to serve as a law enforcement headquarters, a potential 911 dispatch center, and a jail facility.
A motion to approve the ordinance as written and read.
So moved, Your Honor.
Any discussion?
Your Honor, I just wanted to say again that I'm disappointed about dissolving the shared services. I think the ideas by both cities of quality service and cost savings was very realistic. The finance directors, the mayors and chiefs worked very hard on this program. I am somewhat disappointed about the reality that the FOP union for the City of Peru has the ability to go to arbitration on this matter. And of course, that ability could cost the city a great deal financially. So it's more prudent for us, and as the taxpayers of Peru, to again at least end the termination of the cost-sharing agreement with this. My hope is in the future is that we'll continue to work together and look for other ways for cost savings for both cities.
Anyone else?
We did indeed do our due diligence on this joint venture, and as Alderman Putoff stated, it just didn't work out this time, so hopefully we can still have a working relationship with LaSalle, and that would be ideal.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll have a roll call. Clerk, call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Motion approved.
Finally, I have an ordinance amending ordinance number 6362, entitled An Ordinance of the City of Peru, Illinois, to set the time and place for a public hearing and joint review board to consider approving the Peru Mall redevelopment plan.
We have a motion to approve the ordinance as written and read.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
And the date is 30.
The time and place of the joint review board will be on the 30th day of April at 11 a.m., and the public hearing will be on the 28th of May at 6 p.m.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, we'll have a roll call. Quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Motion approved. Anything further? Okay, no proclamations. Any unfinished business?
Yes, Your Honor, we just have one thing. We had a communication a couple of weeks ago from a group that was interested in conducting a farmer's market in Peru this summer on Sundays. City Engineer Eric Carls and I met with one of the representatives from their group and talked about locations, and they are in favor of the location we presented, which would be the former Marathon lot that the city owns. So we'll have some official action before the council in the next meeting if there's no objection to that sort of event, and Eric will prepare, well, he can speak on what the engineering guys will be doing.
Certainly, as everybody remembers, their initial ask was to utilize the CVS, the former CVS property. As everybody knows, currently in the process of moving that property through our request for proposals. So we had met and looked at some other logical city properties. The most logical one is the Marathon property, being it's a paved lot, and we do have power available at that location. So we are going to work with them on layout, for their vendors, certain traffic patterns they will abide by during this event. And it's for part, so it's only a few hours on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah, they were talking about maybe a 9 to 1 or a 10 to 1 time.
I'm just worried about parking.
Certainly.
You take up that lot and they're gonna park on
Yeah,
Fourth
so
Street and,
We're aware of that, and that's why we're working with them on the layout. Currently this time, she said less than a dozen vendors she thought to start. So if the event were to grow, we'll look at an alternate location.
Anybody? Okay, moving on to new business. I'm asking for a motion for the reappointment of Mr. Bill Steve to the Parks and Recreation for a term of 5 years expiring March 2024. He's currently on the board, and he was asking for, his reappointment time was up. I asked him if he wanted to continue, he said he did.
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Have a roll call, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Peyton. Ballard.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the selected candidate for the office administrative assistant, maybe I should say office administrative assistant position.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Kim, do you want to fill us in?
Sure. This position was due to a vacancy over in the engineering and building and zoning services department as well as public services. It's a front desk position, so we have now filled that and received about 70 applicants.
Anybody else? Do we have a roll call, clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Peyton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Motion approved. Petitions, communications?
Excuse me, Your Honor, I have one more thing under new business.
Okay.
It came to my attention today that the James Hardy Corporation has instituted a morale committee, and they were asking about an Adopt a Highway program so that they could do some cleanup around the city. And I said I wasn't sure. I knew the CSO did North Peoria Street, but I wasn't sure that we actually had an Adopt a Highway program. But they're interested in cleanup, and I mentioned the 7th Street ditch or maybe the East Ravine. They seemed interested in that, and I know this is very preliminary, but guys in the wards, if you've got any projects, you know, write it down, and I will submit to this committee, and hopefully we can get some cleanup done. They seem eager, so.
We've
I
had
got a perfect
inquiries.
one, Alderman.
What's that?
Said I have a perfect one, Water Street. Place is a mess.
We've had inquiries on 251, and Eric's been in contact with District 3, and it's a little more difficult than just going out in the ditches along 251 and picking up. You have to have their permission, you have to be dressed accordingly to their standards, you have to use their bags. They're working with us.
That was one of the things that they asked me about, and I said, that's the state right away. So you're gonna,
Right.
you'll
And-
deal with the state on that, and it'll get
Yeah,
difficult.
they're working with us, and, you know, we have a number to call, and they're working with us, but I don't want anybody just to think they can just go out on a state highway and start picking up garbage. As bad as it's needed, can't just go out and do that.
Question for Eric on that, you were talking about that. They did the west side of 251, they got rid of them bush, it really looks nice, and that'll alleviate a lot of that garbage. Do you know, are they gonna do that on the east side too?
So I do have a call into their Sal Meekins Yard office, who we've been working with on some of these requests that are coming through different organizations as far as the cleanup. I don't have a definitive answer on what they're going to do on the east, or on the east side of the 251 there. When I do, I will update everybody.
Eric, just a quick note on that. I was contacted by some of the homeowners along that stretch. They would really prefer that they not tear out everything if possible.
Yeah, we had a similar request from Liberty Village. There's little edges there. We haven't forwarded on that request, but like I said, at this point, I haven't received a response back. And as soon as I do, I'll certainly update you. And I will be over at the DOT tomorrow and Thursday for various meetings, so we'll certainly stop in and talk to you.
Eric, with this group from James Hardy, if there's any clothing issues, like you want the high visibility yellow or whatever, I mean, let me know, and I will pass that on to them.
Yeah,
I mean, if there are any...
I'm aware, we conduct all of our construction services under the ANSI codes and size, so, the vests and whatnot that are certified through that agency for that type of work. It's common in construction and manufacturing.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to petitions.
I was just gonna mention the electronics recycling event over the weekend. I was up there about 7:15. I thought it was very smooth. So I know we've had those in the past and they were not very smooth, but I know nobody likes to pay, but I think the fee really helped because I think probably had a company that was a little more organized and had some resources because there was some funding involved.
Yeah, and I guess the good news for those residents that, maybe were deterred by previous reports of long lines and inconvenient process, this is just the first of events that will be held by LaSalle County and hosted in other communities, and I think Mendota is a community that's looking to host one, and then there's another community in LaSalle County that's on the line. So there's going to be 3 more this year, so there'll be more opportunities to get rid of electronics, and if they all run as smooth as this one, it should go very well.
I know our community service officer and one of the police officers were up there in the morning, so thank them for their time.
Okay, petitions, communications?
Yes, Your Honor, I have a couple. One on the agenda here from Rita Studzinski at the River Valley Chapter of Compassionate Friends, requesting permission to hold their annual memory walk for Compassionate Friends on Sunday, September 29th at Baker Lake and reserve the East Shelter. There are no conflicts.
I'll make a motion to allow that.
Second it.
Have a motion, a second, to allow the River Valley Chapter leader of Compassionate Friends for the permission to hold their memory walk. Which one is this? Meaning, is this 3rd or 4th year now in a row?
I think this is the 3rd year.
3rd year.
And their group is responsible for the planting area to the west of the bridge that's there. They have a very nice landscaped, low-maintenance area that they put in there.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll have, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
And then I have a second one here, looking for use of the Baker Lake walking path on Saturday, September 28th, so the same weekend, for their second annual, and I apologize for maybe not saying this right, Dravet Syndrome Epilepsy Awareness Walk. Is that correct?
Dravet syndrome.
Dravet Syndrome. So that's going to be the second annual event there at Baker Lake for the Saturday.
We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Looks like from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. All cleaned up and gone by 1 o'clock.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Anything further?
No
Yeah,
further.
just reminder to these groups that no writing on the blacktop and...
That's part of the standard letter for any
Right, no-
event on the streets or at Baker Lake, chalk only.
No more petition
No, Your
communications? Okay, Mr. Geese, it's time for public comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carl. I apologize for, before when I did talk to the gentleman, when he was conducting the public comment. I'm Art Deese, and I've not been at meetings for a while because I've been out of town. What I see is that, correct me if I'm correct on this, presently, if I do yard work on a Saturday, the pickup would be done on a Monday. Would that be when that yard work would be picked up?
Previous to this change, that is correct, Art. We would have been picking up on Monday, and this change moves the pickup date to Friday.
So there was a one-day carryover, and whatever out by my house, rather than we're going to go to a 5-day carryover. I do the work on a Saturday, and it's not going to be picked up until the following Friday. And that's going to be around the house, outside the house, and during the rain, the snow, or what happens in the community. Usually find it more that things are done right away, and very done in a very neat fashion, and neither the town, neither the city. Easier it is to work with these people. I'm not talking about gentleman's business. I'm talking about Mayor Harrell, Chief Police Bernadette. He wants to approach a person that has got a nice yard and takes pride. That guy isn't going to do a lot of problems in the city. But the guy that's going to have 5 or 6 days of garbage around his house, around the outside of his house, I don't think that's something that we really want to carry over that far. What percent of our taxes are going towards the garbage disposal? I mean, it's an unfair question. If you don't have it offhand, give me a round figure.
You're charged for your garbage on your utility bill, so that, I think that fee, Dave, you have it off the top of your head, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, residents currently pay $14 for their garbage and recycling and yard waste. Well, the yard waste is an additional fee-based. $14 for garbage, so you pay by your yard waste bag. So you purchase your biodegradable bag and you purchase a sticker from the city for $1.50. So you pay for that service.
As far as that service, these are the gentlemen that all have the upper hand on the vote, whether we want this or we don't want it, and then we go from there, whatever they want to supply us or what they don't want to supply.
Excuse me, Art, just if I could interject, please.
Sure.
This is a contract change that they have in their contract. It has nothing to do with us voting on anything. This is an item in their contract. They have the right to change the date of pickup. So it's, we are voicing our displeasure with it, but it's a contract item for them, and we don't have any control over it.
So we can't really...
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No.
Gives me a little bit, yes, I see more work. Yourself, Alderman, where you're coming from. So we really don't have much to say until the next time. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, one thing you need to keep in mind, there was 2 bid packages picked up for the last contract, and only one came back. We didn't have a choice, because there were only one came back. So.
No,
In the price that, in the price we had negotiated is the lowest price around the area cities.
Good deal. I'd like to hear that too.
Oh, thanks. Anybody else? Nobody? Okay, there's no closed session. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.